Hello, I'm James Corbett, host of the Corbett Report at CorbettReport.com. And you're here at OpenSourceEducation.online because you are interested in getting a real education. And that's exactly what you're about to receive. Down below on this page, you'll find an example from the economics section of the curriculum. Century of Enslavement, the History of the Federal Reserve. A feature-length documentary exploring the history of America's central bank, the Federal Reserve. That documentary is available for free download in video, audio, and text formats. And all of that information is available via the links down below. Further down the page, you will find all 5 subjects in the open source education curriculum. Economics, history, literature, politics, and science. And within each category, you'll find multiple documentaries, podcasts, and articles exploring these subjects at greater length. All of the information is available 100% for free. Just click whatever link you're interested in, and you can begin learning right away. This is a free curriculum in every sense. There is no sign-up, there are no fees or payments. Also, there are no tests, there are no marks, there is no set order of study. If you're interested in a topic, just click and start learning right away. If you do want these subjects and lessons compiled in one place and ready for offline learning, you can follow the link at the bottom of the page to the store, where you can purchase the digital downloads of each subject. You can buy each subject in the curriculum individually, or you can buy the entire course for a discounted price. And once you've worked your way through this curriculum, if you're still hungry to learn more, there are thousands of hours of similar material, all available 100% for free at CorbettReport.com. Oh, school's in. Better get to class. Happy learning. Welcome back, friends. Welcome back to another edition of Solutions Watch here in December of 2023. I'm your host, James Corbett of CorbettReport.com, and what you were just watching was the landing video to a website called OpenSourceEducation.online. And I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about this website, what it is, what it does, how it came to be. But perhaps the best way for you to get a handle on what it is simply to go there. So you can go on your computer or your device of choice and go to OpenSourceEducation, not .com, not .org, OpenSourceEducation.online. And you will see the website. What is this website? Well, essentially, this is a solution to a problem that is readily apparent, that does not need to be documented in too much detail, I think, namely the problem of the indoctrination that is supplied to our children in the erstwhile education system, actually the indoctrination system. And I've talked about this problem and its very many aspects in lots of different work that I've done over the years. So again, I don't think that needs a lot of elaboration for people who are in the regular Corbett Report audience or people in the conspiracy realist space generally. But of course the question always becomes, okay, we know that there is a problem of children being indoctrinated by the statist education system. What are the solutions to this? And again, I have talked about that on Solutions Watch before. For example, I've done 3 different conversations now with Connor Boyack, the creator of the Tuttle Twins series. We've talked about teaching children about liberty, teaching children about history, teaching children about conspiracies. So this is a problem and a solution with which you're familiar. Here's a different way of tackling that problem and approaching it in a solutions-based manner. And that is to take Corbett Report material and to contextualize it in a way that people understand, perhaps understand even better, what this material is and how it can be used to actually affect change. So, what am I talking about? Well, essentially, OpenSourceEducation.online is a landing page with that landing video, and then if you scroll down the page, you will see Century of Enslavement as the main embedded video as an example of a course, a lesson from the economics course that is offered by OpenSourceEducation.online. And if you continue scrolling down that page, you will then find the 5 different subjects that are offered there at the Open Source Education Institute, we'll call it. Why not? Namely, economics, history, literature, politics, and science. Those are the 5 main curriculum study areas. And underneath those different categories, which you can click on and click between, you will find an embedded video and then a number of links to various videos and articles and what have you all from the Corbett Report archive. So what this is Corbett Report material contextualized in a way that these are lessons or organized by subject in an overall curriculum that could be, at the very least, supplemental to the types of things that children, sure, why not, junior high, high school, university, or older continuing education people might use to supplement and to fill in the gaps in their understanding. Now, this whole concept, this whole idea, the whole shebang of creating a landing page and putting certain Corbett Report material into these subjects and creating an open source education website was not my idea originally, but I'm glad that it was brought to me, essentially. And the way this happened was, as I hope you know by this point, every other week I am on with Ernest Hancock of the Declare Your Independence radio program. I am on as a guest on his radio show, and we have an hour-long conversation every other week. And for people who are following along, you'll probably have heard over the past, I don't remember exactly when this was first floated, but it was a year or two ago that Ernie mused on air that he'd like to see Corbett in the classroom, which is essentially a way of, it was his idea to recontextualize Stossel in the classroom. People might know of John Stossel, essentially, I think, the only libertarian in mainstream American media. At any rate, John Stossel, who is kind of a libertarian advocate on ABC News and, mainstream television host, etc., has what he calls Stossel in the classroom, and I'll link to that website if you're interested, in which he's created these videos that are used for schools or homeschoolers or what have you as a different perspective on various subjects, essentially trying to feed a little bit of liberty-oriented thinking into what is otherwise the statist indoctrination system. Okay, great idea, but Ernie, thinking about this Stossel in the classroom idea, one day mused on air he'd like to see not Stossel in the classroom, Corbett in the classroom. Because we were talking about the big oil documentary, Century of Enslavement, these types of things. And he said, well, this is history, this could be useful. And we have talked, again, if you've listened to our conversations, we have talked before about how important it is to reach children, not even children, young adults at that age where they are starting to become teenagers, they're starting to get rebellious, they're starting to naturally question authority and start to try to forge their own path in life. And it's at that exact moment that they're herded into junior high school and then high school, and they are that is when the indoctrination system really kicks in and really goes to work in taking that energy and directing it against, oh, you're silly parents. What do they know? Rebel against them, yes, and go into the loving arms of government, and we can live in a communist paradise. That was certainly the general tenor of the statist indoctrination system that I suffered through in Canada. And I assume that many people have a similar experience. Taking young adults at that very age where the hormones are kicking in and they are starting to separate cognitively and otherwise from their parents and starting to question and stand up to authority. But don't stand up to the state. Don't stand up to the man. Don't question what your teacher is telling you. No, go question your parents. They're the ones that are your enemy, man. Anyway, so wouldn't it be great if we could take people at that age where they are really starting to fundamentally question and put real history, real, verifiable, true, documentable history in front of them that helps to actually explain the world that they are living in? Because that has always been my experience of all of this. Falling down the proverbial rabbit hole was about finally finding something that actually truly provided understanding, insight, contextualize things in a way that helped me to understand, and then to go on and use that information to, for example, see what was coming down the line. It's why I was able to create a medical martial law podcast back in 2009 that pretty accurately talked about what we saw in 2020. How did this happen? It's because, here's the real actual map of reality that has been excluded from our education. And once you find that map and you start being able to see where things are going and what the real ideology underlying this is and who is directing this and for what purpose, it really starts to actually make sense. So that is the the overarching concept here. Well, let's take this information, which interestingly really is kind of educational. It is an education, essentially. When you look at my main documentary work or some of these podcasts that I've done on various subjects or editorials I've written, it is essentially like a classroom lesson from a real classroom, the type of classroom you probably didn't attend when growing up. But maybe you should have. Well, let's take that information, put it in an easy, bite-sized format where people can just go to a single landing page and they can get, oh, I'm interested in history today. I'll click on that. Oh, that sounds interesting. I'll click on that. Or they're interested in literature. Oh, okay. Well, here's an exploration of Narcissus and Goldman. Well, I wonder what that's about. And they will get into the information that way. And as I say in the landing video, this isn't a course per se. You don't sit there and study lesson by lesson. It is interest driven. And if you're interested in this, click on this. Here it is. And as always, it links to the Corbett Report website where, for example, with Century of Enslavement or the other big documentaries, there will be the complete hyperlinked transcript with all of the sources to all of the information. It is a learning tool. I've always stressed that the Corbett Report is an educational resource. It's a learning tool. And hopefully this will help some people unlock that. And this might be a great way of getting around some people's defenses into, oh, the Corbett Report, that sounds... I looked that up on the fact checker website and that's a conspiracy website. Well, no, this is open source education. Are you interested are you interested in politics? Well, here's a politics course from this Open Source Education Institute, which I've suddenly decided to start calling it. Anyway, I think it's a great idea, and I'm very, very, very glad for Ernest Hancock not only coming up with that idea, but then kicking me in the posterior to get it done and get it out and get it. He wanted it in November, and it's got to be out. Let's do it. And so here it is, and it exists. As I say, it is up at OpenSourceEducation.online. If you haven't paused this video and started checking it out, well, what are you doing? You should do that. But having said that, let's further contextualize this, where this idea comes from, what it is meant to do, and why I think it is a good idea. So I'm going to play a little clip from a recent appearance, my previous appearance on Declare Your Independence, where Ernie and I were talking about this idea, and also talking about not just OpenSourceEducation.online, but the entire guerrilla marketing campaign that Ernie is creating around this, that he is using during this Christmas season to get the word out through Christmas postcards that he's sending out and trash can flyers, which is this whole other idea. I will go into this specifically in more depth in a future edition of Solutions Watch, because it is an excellent idea. But essentially, sticking a trash can flyer into people's trash can, and it looks like a very official government inspection form of some sort, and it's got all these boxes that are ticked. Oh, I'm here from the Department of Treasury, and I was looking through your social media feed, and I looked through your garbage, and blah, 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 and you can register for your free CBDC wallet. Click phone here to find out more. And the phone number goes to the local newspaper, the local television news office. And there's a website, aztiphotline.info, because, of course, Ernie is in Arizona. And that will redirect to OpenSourceEducation.online. Or he also has WeKnowTheTruth.online, which will redirect people to OpenSourceEducation.online. So he has, as usual, in the usual Ernie style, he has this entire guerrilla marketing campaign around this. And so we were talking about all of this on my recent appearance on Declare Your Independence. Well, okay, so just to introduce for people who haven't been there yet, just go to OpenSourceEducation.online. You can go there directly and you can see what this is, probably better than we can explain it. But yeah, the overall concept came from, I remember, was it a year or two back? You were musing about Corbett in the classroom. You came up with that as a catchphrase. Yeah. And the idea that we've talked about before is probably the best time to really start reaching people with this type of information is before the indoctrination and all of that sets in, at the time when people are naturally going through their teenage rebellious phase and are starting to look for different things and starting to question authority. And they generally get herded by the state indoctrination education system into, okay, now you should rebel against your parents and those old fuddy-duddies and what do they know? And you should be on board with this, communist, Marxist, whatever agenda, blah, 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 that they try to indoctrinate the kids with. As a counter to that, well, how about Corbett in the classroom? And so the idea is to take this information that I've been trying to compile and put together and put out to people, and I generally think I try to aim it at adult audiences, but why? Why specifically? Why not as part of an education or a supplement to education that people could be getting at those years where they are really thirsting for knowledge and information that isn't just disconnected names and dates and boring fuddy-duddy musty history. No, this is real stuff that really affects your life. And if you really understand what is happening, you can structure your life in a more productive way. That is what this is all about. So open source education. And I'm glad, I don't know, was it you? Whoever came up with that title is a great title, because that is the idea here. So basically, I've taken some of the most important documentaries and podcasts and articles on a various range of subjects. We've got economics, politics, history, science, and literature, 5 subjects that people can start scrolling through. And it's not like a course where you're going to sit through lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3. No, it's here's a bunch of stuff. Here's the links. Here's all the info you need. You can get it all for free. Just start studying. And here's some examples of that. And I think it's a great idea, but I want to ask you, where, why, when, how did you come up with Corbett in the classroom? Why did that occur to you?
It had a big impact on my family and myself when Stossel in the classroom was going on, when our kids were going to private school, Phoenix Christian Junior Senior High in the early to mid 2000s. And it was, you're in a conservative school. And of course, we were libertarian, I'm a candidate, running, all the kids knew I was, I could go speak and so on. But there was no contextual foundational understanding of what the philosophy was. They sure as heck weren't teaching it. And the only reason they'd have me come in is when they just start talking like R's and D's. And I'm like, really, and so I saw the impact that had, just as the inspiration and the support for the people of, voluntarist, libertarian, freedom-oriented, anarchist philosophy, that they would even have an alternative view other than two sides of the same coin of the two wings bird of prey crap. So there are so many of your documentaries that as time goes on, I knew would be great and beat the crap out of Stossel anyway. That wasn't even the point. It was just a concept. So I'm going, it's like a Corbett in the classroom. If I could bring attention to that, to the people as we're going through all the things that we've learned over the last few election cycles, I think the people around the planet are starting to go, what up? Here we have Javier Milei winning president in Argentina. We got Orban in Hungary. We got some guy in the Netherlands just won some. Spain.
Wilders in the Netherlands, Luxon in New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here we go. Le Pen, that I'm not a fan of anyway. But the thing is that the pendulum is swinging the other way. And the problem with that is that it's always, the other side of the same coin kind of thing. We're going to rule you better than the other guys because they're ruling you wrong, And if you had a contextual understanding of where both of them serve the same master, that there's all this stuff going on, you don't really understand how the world really works. So some of my favorites with you, of course, are Century of Enslavement, which was about the Federal Reserve. When you did that, I had seen a lot of people, even kids, school, what's the first thing they're doing? They go to YouTube. Yeah, Federal Reserve, explain it to me so I don't have to read textbook I don't believe anyway. So you were the first thing that would come up for years. And then they go, man, they had to fix that. They go, hell no. And I'd always make fun of James going, look, man, you're not deplatformed or canceled yet. What do you work for the man or something? I mean, so finally he got deplatformed. I'm like, oh, okay. So, good guy, I guess. So this is the World War I conspiracy, how big oil conquered the world, why big oil conquered the world, the series on Gates. I mean, all these things I could do, it's just like a class if you watched a week's worth in some social studies or history class in high school, James Corbett videos, you're cured, you're insulated from the crap. So it was important to me to keep bringing it up and lobbying James to do this. And that what I would do is I would bring attention to it, and we'd make a little pilot program test, Neon I told you so, because my pronouns are I told you so. Okay. So I wanted to do it in Arizona so that some of the activist things that we've done for Christmas time, we always do the love cards. And these love cards are just a postcard that you put on the mirror on the driver's side door. I don't like doing it on the windshield wipers and the windshield because then you got to get up and get it. It's just a pain in the butt. So we have these cards that are pretty stiff and they're glossy. They're nice cards. It's like a Christmas card. We've been doing this since '08. And what we did is we put them in the mirror, the driver's side mirror, and they just pick it up. And, okay, Merry Christmas, love, spread the word, Christmassy colors and, bows and stuff. And then on the back, we had the Banksy bouquet of flowers throwing bandit guy that we always used against the Federal Reserve. That was like, kind of our thing. We're just throwing it at the Federal Reserve. We don't care. We're ignoring it. Here's some flowers. I mean, we don't care. We're being bandits. So then we were, at the time, how the Levolution, or the Ron Paul Levolution was known in Europe was we know the truth with the Levolution at the top and the Banksy guy. So I'm going, that's how they portrayed the Levolution. And I go, that's so cool. So fortunately, I was able to get WeKnowTheTruth.online that forwards to OpenSourceEducation.online. And then we had the trash can flyers that we always had. I kept this domain for years, aztiphotline.info. So it's kind of, tip hotline. So it's, turn it in your neighbors kind of thing. And we'll go over that flyer. But that is just the campaign that I'm hoping that as we develop this more and we get some banners up there and downloads of files and all that kind of stuff, that other people around the world, and certainly United States, that they can put, after they empty the trash on those big green monsters, you just put this flyer under the lid, put it down. And what happens when they get home, it's after 2, 3 in the afternoon, they pick up the trash, they come in to take them in. Well, they got this flyer that looks like they got a summons, a penalty, a ticket, or something saying they did it wrong, like your homeowner association kind of thing. Well, you start reading it, and it's anybody, by the time they call me to complain, they figured it out. It was a parody. What happens is the statists, the ones that are inflicting the butterflies in people's stomachs, the law enforcement and so on, all of a sudden they get butterflies in the stomach and they don't like it. They want to impose it. They don't want to get it. So they're just angry. So what we did is we started putting the phone numbers of the newsrooms there so they have some place to complain. And they complain. So then it's always you're getting a story out of this. That's just the way it works. They can't not do it, So the timing is good now. Holidays with the Christmas card. They get kind of, nutted up a little bit. And then the legislative session starts the second Monday in January. So that first week there is when you get a lot of pre-files of bills and so on. Arizona legislature, because all the election fraud and a bunch of the, crap that's going on. I mean, it's just amazing. A lot of people have woken up and they're just, and they need something like this. Timing. I've been doing this for, 20 years. And I'm telling you, just this trash can flyer thing. And they can't not comment. They get that feeling. These guys, these bad guys, they don't like having, they want to impose that fear on people. The fact that they have to find somebody or get somebody. So that's why, I'm like, yep, well, who is it? It's James Corbett, Canadian, from Canada, living on the sunny west coast of Japan. Go get him. Let me know how that works out. Now, he's like, just as soon not have his name on it. So, if I got the domain and we did and paid and it's in the, so that, who do they go after? They don't want neither of us, this tar baby on them anyway. So, So
it's not me. It's not you.
it's
Who
not me. It's
knows
not
where
him.
this came
It's
from?
not.
Yeah, I'm just imagining the looks on people's faces when they get this trash can flyer and they go to aztiphotline.online or .info and suddenly they're at this open source education page. They won't know what hit them.
I'm looking forward to that because this is the kind of information that they don't want you to know. And that's why they had to take it down. When you got junior high school kids in there learning about how the Federal Reserve really works, where it's not federal, it's not reserve, it's not government, not what? You'd say that to people as libertarian activists in the 90s, they think you're crazy. And you have to go look in the blue pages. It's not there. It's in the white pages along with Federal Express. I mean, it's just, so this is the kind of thing that is, I think, necessary as we go into the next phase. And the next phase is going to be a food thing. That's one thing. But I'm thinking that it's going to get a lot worse. And it's going to come on rapidly. And people aren't going to have the context, the understanding of what's happened. They're going to want to blame somebody, and they're just going to we're going to vote harder or vote different or whatever. They don't understand that it's already been decided. And James does a really good job with all of the sourcing that's on there, the links and everything, bibliography. It's go do your own research, which of course he encourages. So this is an effort that I didn't have this kind of information. I mean, Freedom's Phoenix does a good job, but not in the condensed 1 hour version of this is what the truth is about that. And once you know where you can go find something, once you start to see that there are many other interesting subjects there and categories that you can start getting the truth. And I always say the future is going to be about credibility. Who do you believe? Well, this kind of information, they're going to believe, and the bad guys don't like it. And I like doing stuff that bad guys don't like. So that's why we're doing it.
It's awesome. It's a great way to needle them. And thank you for giving me this idea of contextualizing it this way, because I think you're right. People, if they go to CorbettReport.com, it's a mess. There's thousands of hours of stuff that's all over the place. So where do you start? But this gives a sort of a handle for people to go in and contextualize this information and start doing it. And I got to give the props to Chris Hayes of MSNBC for prompting me to put as the example video. Here's an example lesson for you, Century of Enslavement, because of course people might remember that was the one that he pointed to in his tweet as, oh my God, can you imagine if some high school student was doing a high school report on the Federal Reserve and they type it into YouTube and they get
which is the point.
Oh God. Well, here it is, OpenSourceEducation.online, and hopefully that high school student doing that report does come across this and will use it as one of their, well, not as a source, but as a way of finding sources. Because as you say, this really is, it has always been a type of lesson. It is kind of educational because there's the transcript. There's every single word that's being said with hyperlinks to the sources of the information, so you can go research it for yourself. So in a sense, yes, this has been a teaching endeavor, a teaching enterprise all these years, and this is a way of putting it in that package that people can understand it properly. So thank you. Hats off for doing that. And man, am I looking forward to seeing this campaign unfold. And as you say, we're going to put the digital downloads of these on the page. So
yeah, talk about this. The open source digital download and how you're packaging that. It wasn't clear to me. Explain that.
All right. So as I explained in the landing page video, the first thing people will see, I just explained that this is a free and open source course in every sense. You can tackle it whatever way you want. There's no set order of study and there's no fee, no sign up. You just you click and you start looking. But if you want each subject, history, science, literature, whatever, condensed into a download that you can download and you can take it offline, you can keep it forever. If you want that, I will sell it through the newworldnextweek.com store as a digital download that you download the whole package of information as one thing that you can then take off with you. You don't have to do that, but that will be one way to do it. But also, I want to put in the download of that trash can flyer, of whatever other sort of print materials that if people want, they can guerrilla market this too. They can start putting that out there and doing the same thing.
Well, two things I wanted to bring up real quick before we went over that. Here you have the category. Talk about why you selected these categories and what's behind them. See if I click one. Are they open yet where I can go into them? Or
yeah, if you click one, it will change below. We have to tweak it because you can't really tell yet. But at any rate, when you click literature, for example, it'll bring up the literature stuff down below.
Okay,
see, yeah, so it changes. Yeah, we need to change that so it's more apparent. But anyway, so these 5 subjects seem to me like 5 kind of core basic curriculum subjects that you might get in any sort of junior high school education. And as we say, you're getting the indoctrination side of all of this. Like in science, it isn't science, it's the science. And they're going to teach you the Fauci approved version of what just happened in the past few years. And they're going to make you do all the whatever woke gender nonsense ideology when you're doing your math class or whatever. This is going to be hopefully the antidote or to that poison, and it will be the real information. So for example, you click on science and go down, and you will see as the featured video, The Crisis of Science, talking about the way science is manipulated and can be manipulated by fake statistics and fudging numbers, p-values and all that kind of stuff that they talk about or that they don't talk about these days. I did that, I think, 2018, 2019. So before the whole COVID crisis nonsense hit, but talking about the way science can be manipulated. And if you keep scrolling down in that curriculum of various subjects, for example, the solutions, open science, is kind of like the antidote to that crisis of science. So this is the way science can be manipulated. This is how we can solve it. Talking about weaponization of psychiatry and other such things as ways that science can be weaponized and used against people, and then hopefully the antidote to that as well. So there's a lot of info in just each one of these packaged courses. And as I say in the landing video, if you like this, well, I have thousands of more hours of study for you to do. And I think that's the right way of contextualizing this information. Once again, that was the inimitable, irrepressible Ernie Hancock of freedomsphoenix.com on the Declare Your Independence radio show. If you're not listening, why not? You should. But yes, long story short, OpenSourceEducation.online is a thing that exists. I hope that you check it out. If it's of interest to you, I hope you use it, because it is a nice way of organizing some of the vast treasure trove of material in the Corbett Report archives that are so widespread and unwieldy at this point that it is difficult to get your hands on. Of course, that's what CorbettReport.com/bestof exists up for, is one way to give people a handle. But here's a different way, and a different way of contextualizing that work. Again, as I have explained, in a manner that I hope will help people to understand what the website is, how best to use it, and how to proceed forward from here. So there's a lot to digest there. But long story short, I will reiterate, as I have explained in the landing video and as I explained there with Ernie, that this course is completely free in every sense. There is no set order of study. There's no lesson guide or curriculum or what have you. It's just, here are a bunch of lessons organized by subject. Click on what you feel interested in. But if you do want to store this information for offline access later on, or to have it at your disposal in one easy download package, then you can do that and also, hey, support the Corbett Report. You can do so by purchasing the digital download of each subject. Economics, history, literature, politics, science. Each one is available as a digital download of all of those lessons that are contained there on the OpenSourceEducation.online website. Each lesson is available for purchase through newworldnextweek.com. And you can purchase each subject individually, $20 per subject, or you can purchase all 5 for a 25% discount, so it's $75 if you purchase them all together. As always, Corbett Report subscribers can apply their Corbett Report subscriber discount to that, either each individual subject or to the 25% off deal. You can get further discount by being a Corbett Report member. Again, if you're a Corbett Report member and don't know the discount code or how to find it, just get in touch. I'm happy to walk you through that. All of that being said, this is hopefully a way of helping to share and spread this knowledge with others in a different way, and perhaps potentially to a different audience. As I say, I generally think of my audience as adults, but why not? Why not high school students or even junior high school students who are starting to really wonder and think about the future? And as I said, Chris Hayes knew about this years ago. What if a high school student was doing a report on the Federal Reserve and they came across Century of Enslavement? Oh, heavens to Murgatroyd. What would happen if people who were genuinely interested in this started finding this information that the education system does not approve of and MSNBC doesn't want you to see? Well, here it is, OpenSourceEducation.online. And if there is genuine interest in this, if this does take off, if people want more of this, then maybe I will develop it like Stossel has developed Stossel in the Classroom into a full curriculum with study guides and all of that. I could take it in that direction. Why not? It can be expanded in the future and see where it goes. We'll just see how this resonates. And if people like it and if it catches on, then we'll take it from there. But hey, here's another potential solution for the problem of the indoctrination system. I hope it works for you, but I'm always interested in your feedback, so Corbett Report members are, as always, invited to log in and leave your feedback in the comments section. That's going to do it for this edition of Solutions Watch. Thank you for joining me, and I genuinely hope you will join me for the next edition, which of course will be the Solutions Watch year-end wrap-up/review, where I go through every single episode of Solutions Watch from the previous year and go through feedback and commentary and updates about each solution. So I hope you'll stay tuned for that. And of course, if you have any general feedback about Solutions Watch, what it means to you, what you appreciate about it, or what you don't like about it, or anything in between, I'm interested to hear that feedback as well. And I might be able to share some of it if you get it in on time. That all being said, I think we're going to leave it there for today. James Corbett, CorbettReport.com.